Hello everyone, I think I'm live. Yes, everything seems to be working. So hello, welcome. It's been a while since um, I've gone live in English. So I'm happy to connect with you again live. So today I'm going to talk about something kind of personal I went through. A healing crisis. I went through, I'm still going through it. It's getting better, but I'm still not 100% yet. And I wanted to share that with you because, I mean, if you are following me, you're probably interested in Reiki, spirituality, animal Reiki, and some of you may be students of mine. Um, the healing crisis um, is such an important part of the Reiki treatment that I really want to talk about that, and I want to share my story. It's not the first time I'm going through a healing crisis. I've been through many, many in my life. But this one is interesting because sorry, I'm just checking comments just to make sure everything is working. Okay. Um, it's interesting because of the timing and the intensity of it. Um, so where do I start? First, I start with just describing, explaining what a healing crisis is. So, a healing crisis is basically a release of a blockage. So, it's usually emotions that are stuck in the physical body or other like energetic knots that are in our subtle bodies, and most of the times, the those blockages are in our subconscious. We're not aware of it, of them, and basically, a healing crisis is when they come to consciousness. And usually, it's not always the case, but when we go through a healing crisis, we tend to have um, a clear understanding of certain situations in the past, often that where there was there were a lot of intense emotions, and we may think that we made peace with it, and we passed beyond that, and actually physically and maybe energetically the those memories, those emotions haven't been released completely, and they are stuck within us. And as long as they are stuck and not released, they create blockages in the flow of energy. They create blockages um, in everyday life, or sometimes, they may be triggers. They may, manifest in many different ways, but most of the time they are in our subconscious. And so a healing crisis is the process of releasing those blockages. So we can release those blockages through the body. And when going through a healing crisis, we may have different types of, aches and pains. We may have, belly pains. We may have headaches, We may have like back pains, shoulder, neck pains, or weird stuff. Like it can be really anything physically. It can also be mentally and emotionally. So mentally, when all of a sudden we may start thinking about, some situations in our past, or some people, and usually thinking about those things may trigger some emotions. So that can be, anger, frustration, um, sadness, like so many different emotions. Um, and it's important during a healing crisis to really let those emotions, kind of almost take over so they can finally be released. So if we try to kind of control that process, we basically keep those emotions, those blockages inside, they're not being released. We need to go through them again in order to release them. So a healing crisis is not something that is particularly pleasant. Um, and it can also be spiritually, like a phase where we just don't know um, where we're going, kind of stuck. Everything looks, it's. I don't want to say it's a depression, because it should be much shorter. We're not talking about the same length of time. Usually, depression is something that may last months and sometimes years. I went through depression many years ago, so I know what it is. A healing crisis is a bit different in the sense that it doesn't last as long. It can be extremely intense, like the one I went through a few days ago. I wasn't well at all. And some healing crises, they are, kind of just a light discomfort. And within a few hours, perhaps days, it's gone. And sometimes we don't even know that we're going through a healing crisis. But we do. Sometimes it can just be something like, diarrhea, just like one day and that's it. And that can be, a healing crisis, but we're not even aware of it. It's through the body, and sometimes there's no symptoms at all, and that's okay too. So yeah, and usually a healing crisis doesn't last very long. Can be one day, a few days, sometimes weeks, up to maybe like a month or two, but never more than I don't know. It's really hard to tell because we're all different, but it's um, it's not like a depression. In doubt, always, um, consult with your doctor, or um, your physical doctor, but know that if you had a Reiki treatment, energy work, um, all those kind of holistic alternative medicine approaches, then there's the potential for a healing crisis. For instance, I usually experience a healing crisis after acupuncture treatments. The healing crisis is usually half a day, sometimes 2 days, but I don't remember ever going more than like 2 days, whereby the symptoms actually worsen, and I feel really like crap after my treatment, and then I see improvement. And the principle of a healing crisis, it's exactly that. It's like you get worse because you're just getting rid of all that kind of, crap, and then you feel better. So a healing crisis can happen, during a treatment. I've had clients that, yeah, going through a healing crisis, like right in the middle of a treatment, like, crying or like intense pain or emotions coming up, or so that's in those instances, that's really easy to make the connection between the treatment and the healing crisis. It gets a bit more complicated when the healing crisis happens a few days or even like weeks after the treatment, because then it's a lot harder to make the connection with the treatment. And I should mention, it's not really the topic here, but it's exactly the same with animals. They may go through healing crisis as well, with same thing, worsening of symptoms before getting better. And with animals, I had a number of times, clients contacting me saying my pet is getting worse. And even though I made sure to explain the healing process, they tend to forget because it doesn't happen at the same time as the treatment, so they don't understand what's going on. So I have to mention that again. And it's the same for clients, for when they receive a treatment for themselves. Um, when they experience a healing crisis afterwards, they rarely connect the two together. And yeah, I have to remind them again of what the healing crisis is. So I think I covered that part I wanted to mention. So it's important, as a client receiving, a treatment, that the practitioner, whether it's Reiki or other type of energy work, to be aware, to be told about the healing crisis as a client. That is really really important, and that's something that we definitely cover in the animal Reiki class and the people Reiki class that I teach. So important to remember, not only for ourselves but for our clients, whether they are pets or people. But as Reiki practitioners, when they give treatments, they actually channel the energy, so they kind of receive a treatment at the same time as they give one to their client. And I emphasize a lot with my students when they become, especially level 1, that it's so important to start a personal practice to become really familiar with the energy, and to really understand the intricacies of energy work. And if you practice regularly, you have your personal practice, you will go through healing crisis as well. So then when you're used to it, and I went through many. The last one that was pretty intense before this recent one was in January 2020, where it was really, really bad, and I had a few weeks um, of intense emotional release. So that was really, really intense. This one is intense, but seems to um, kind of go through me a lot faster than the one back in 2020. So yeah, Reiki practitioners should be aware of healing crisis, And also because, as I was saying, they receive also the energy while they give treatments. They are constantly, in contact with that energy. So they're really, um, they can really experience like healing crisis fairly regularly. Now, as a Reiki master, it's the same as, with a client and with a Reiki practitioner. But Reiki master, in addition to that, they also channel the energy while they practice what we call the attunements or reiju. And that's when we basically, it's kind of a ritual where we um, kind of create a space, a healing space for the students and connect with the Reiki energy. And that in itself, um, for students that are initiated, they may go through a healing crisis during a reiju. I've seen that during and after. And as a Reiki master, when I practice the reiju, I also channel the energy. So because I have a personal practice, because I give treatments regularly, and I also do the reiju regularly when I teach classes, I'm also constantly, channeling that energy, and therefore more prone to healing crisis. Now, um, so what happened um, a few days ago? Now that you know what a healing crisis is, what happened is that so today we are Friday, and last week on Saturday, I taught an online Reiki class, people Reiki class, and it was a very beautiful class, very peaceful. The energy was flowing. It was very nice, and I practiced the reiju and on the student and like a normal class. And so at the end of the day, we ended the class, and I was feeling okay. Like, I mean, as a Reiki teacher, I know that after teaching a class, because I practice a lot of, attunements, and also, through teachings as well, um, there's a lot that can happen. I can channel a lot of energy. And so I'm aware that I may experience a healing crisis. And in the past, every time I taught a class, whether it's animal Reiki or people Reiki, um, I had, I would say, mild to almost no healing crisis, but yeah, mild healing crisis. So I was aware of it, but you never know the intensity of it because you never know what you're going to release, right? Or if you're going to feel it or not. So after the class, um, I was fine. I had a very good night's sleep. And Sunday morning, I woke up, I was feeling well rested. I was feeling really, um, really good. So I was like, oh, I must have, released also something, because another aspect of a healing crisis also maybe that, you feel actually a lot better because you raised your energy, and sometimes you may experience something that is almost like accelerating after a class. So you really never know how a, um, a healing crisis may manifest through you. Um, so what was I saying? So yes, Sunday morning I woke up and I was feeling really, really good, like really peaceful, rested, and I haven't been sleeping that well lately, so that was such a relief to have such a good night's sleep. And um, and then I think it was about midday. I kind of hit a wall. That was really the feeling that I had because the intensity of the emotions that kind of went through me is just insane. Like, it's like all of a sudden I had like a huge wave of emotions, essentially frustration and anger, that kind of, I would say, yeah, I think they're related to situations that I went through over the past, I would say 6 months, about the last 6 months, I would say. And I think those emotions, I felt like I had, they were dealt with, and I think I was fine with it. And, it was just something that, yeah, that was dealt with, and that was behind me, and I had moved on, and nothing, I was good with it. I had made peace with it, and that's just, yeah, that's a few situations over the past 6 months or so. And when I hit that wall, I felt all those emotions again that I thought, were gone and integrated, and, I had made peace with, and they were just back, but times 1,000. Like, the intensity kind of really overwhelmed me, and I was in a bit of shock because I really didn't know where it was coming from. And yeah, I was going through a lot of frustration and anger. So, and yeah, there was also like a mental release as well, something, yeah, going on mentally, because I kept thinking about, those situations as well. So when I started experiencing um, that, I knew that there was a healing crisis, like immediately. I knew. So whenever I go through a healing crisis, like as I said, I don't block the process, because if you try to feel better, you kind of suppress those emotions again, and then you're just back to square one. So it's important to really, um, experience them, even though that's very, very uncomfortable. And also I use Reiki. I do Reiki when I go through a healing crisis, but I also use an array of different modalities. I use breath work. I use essential oils. I use Bach flowers, and I also reach out to um, other practitioners, such as my acupuncturist. I go for massage, like intense self-care. I practice intense self-care, and that's really something that I recommend if you go through a healing crisis. Really, um, that's the most important, um, to help you go with it and through it. So, yes, so Sunday afternoon, I was a mess, and Monday as well. Tuesday was extremely bad, and it's interesting because while going through a healing crisis, it's like you let go. So it can be really painful physically and emotionally. You let go of those things, and at the same time, I can see that other things are in movement, energetically, and I see that, some people I was trying to get in contact with, for instance, are reaching out to me all of a sudden. People, yeah, I get messages and from people I haven't heard in a long time, or, things that were stuck for a while, all of a sudden, it's resolved. So it's really, really interesting to go through a healing crisis, even though it's not fun, because you can really see in your environment, like outside, that things are also, moving, because your energy is also moving because you're releasing. So it's very interesting that way, and I really, really noticed it this time around. So that was really interesting that way. So, so today we're Friday, and today I must say um, I feel a lot better. I'm still not 100%. I still feel extremely tired. I don't have a lot of energy, and I have a hard time also focusing. So I can't work that long and like too long. And Sunday, when I started going through my healing crisis, I had to actually postpone a number of treatments and appointments with clients that I had on the Monday and Tuesday, because I was not able to work. I wouldn't have been able to work. So I had to take that time off to rest, to integrate what was going on. And yeah, I resumed work on Wednesday, just 2 appointments, and I'm slowly getting back on track. But I just, allow myself to sleep a lot. As I said, I practice intense self-care, and yeah, I go step by step, um, because I know that sometimes, you feel good and you may have a small relapse. So it's important to listen to your body, to listen to what's going on inside of you, and go with the flow. So yeah, today is much better. And also, what's interesting through healing crisis is that um, I I had I gained clarity on things that were stuck before, that I couldn't even see or really kind of understand deeply. And through this crisis, it's like, okay, I get it now. I really do, because it's really, it's that feeling when you heard something many times and you think you understand, but at some point you hear it again and you don't know why, but that time it's like, oh, okay, I really get it now, because it's integrated. And that's kind of what happens during a healing crisis. It's like, okay, I'm integrating that information. I get it now. And so that was really interesting for that too. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you. If you have any questions um, regarding, the classes that I teach, or regarding healing crisis, or anything, please contact me privately, because sometimes when people leave comments below videos, I don't see them. I don't get notified by Facebook. I don't know why. So it's best if you contact me privately, um, through Messenger, or yeah, or by email. uh, yeah, if you want to be sure to have an answer, and for me to get back to you. In the what is it? Below the title of this video, I indicated the upcoming animal Reiki classes. Um, we're still going ahead with the early June classes. Hopefully, the stay-at-home order will be lifted. I think I heard June 2nd, and our class starts June 5th, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully we should be able to go ahead with it. If not, it will be postponed to another time. And so that's the class in Belleville, and there's another one coming up animal Reiki class level 1 in Uxbridge at the end of June. So that's level 1 as well. And I'll keep you posted. I'm thinking about teaching level 2 soon. We'll see how things go. I'll keep you posted. I encourage you to subscribe to my newsletter um, if you want to be kept in the loop of what's going on. Because with Facebook now and Instagram, just a few people see my post. Yeah, so it's pretty bad. So you may miss the information. So that's the best way to be kept in the loop. All right. I think I covered everything. It was important for me to share that with you so you have a better understanding, whether, you as a client, if you've received, Reiki treatments in the past, or if you're already a Reiki practitioner or even a Reiki master. Um, yeah, I wanted to share my experience with you. All right, so I wish you a good, Friday, so it's the weekend, so have a good weekend, and I'll see you soon.